Hello, my name is Lily Suppan. As she said, all those things are true. I am a zoology major in a third year. And all those things can really be accredited to mine and my family's love for the outdoors. Pretty much everything I've ever done with my family, or most of my time as a child, was all spent outdoors doing anything you can think of, from mountain biking to rock climbing to cliff jumping and even just simply camping sometimes. And I swear, as a child, I thought we lived in a tent and our real house was just some cool vacation home we got to go to sometimes. The majority of all that time with my family really helped to form our bonds and make most of our memories, as well as we made a lot of friendships there too. Even all of our vacations we ever went on were all based around just being outside. And it's possible that's why my idea of a fun trip is going and spending prolonged periods of time outside just in nature. So my freshman year of college, me and 3 other people decided to go on one of these fun trips and go hike 100 miles of the Appalachian Trail in about 10 days. There was no real reason I decided to go on this trip. I just got tired of people telling me that I was never going to follow through with any of my grand plans. And I decided that this was the trip that I was going to prove them all wrong. So I proved them all wrong finally, and I had this idea of this trip in my head. It was just this completely romanticized version of it where I was going to be frolicking through nature, and I was going to make friends with the bears, and I was going to make friends with all the deer, and we were going to frolic together through the wilderness, and I was going to become more profound and wise all through it. But instead, it rained the entire time. We slept in a semi-waterproof tent and in puddles, and there was crying, a lot of crying, but we don't judge those people, and it's fine. And through it all, though, I did learn that what the real lesson, the real reason I went on this trip, it was to learn to embrace the suck. The first lesson I learned in embracing the suck was just simply persistence. I know it's not something that you've never heard before. Everyone tells you to persist. You know how to do it, but it is so much easier said than done. It's just so hard to continue to try and persevere when you're just running into walls all the time and you never actually see any rewards for anything. But what's cool about nature, what's cool about the Appalachian Trail, is that these rewards are so much more obvious when you can literally see them in the distance. You can set markers and you can be like, I'm getting there, and when you get there, it feels great. It's little things like that that make it just so much worth it. It's similar to, so when you're on the Appalachian Trail, you're walking up just a vertical slope, you're really tired, everything sucks, and you're just like, you know what, this can't go up forever, and you realize you have no other option but to persist, so you just keep walking. And eventually you get to the top, and you turn and you look, and you're standing above the clouds on this beautiful rock, and you're looking out, and through breaks in the clouds, you're seeing just the tops of trees, you're seeing the birds in the trees, you're seeing hawks swooping everywhere, and you're seeing all the things you've seen in nature documentaries that have never really registered as real until that moment. You're seeing all these things, and you just kind of realize the beauty of nature, and you come across this just serene moment where you're just calm and you're okay, and it just makes all that suffering up that hill completely worth it. And it helps you in the future, too. When you're seeing all these things that you just hiked through, you can think maybe in the future when you're really suffering that you're in one of those beautiful moments, one of those beautiful areas, too, that you just couldn't see until you were up higher, until you persevered through it. And you get to have these moments with other people, which really makes it worth it, too. Even little moments with strangers that made it up there with you. And it kind of brings to light how much you really do need people in these moments. And in the back of my head, there was always another reason I was going, and it was to get away from people. I mean, you hear it all the time. You hear, I hate people, people suck. It's why a lot of us go out in nature, let's just be honest here. Everyone doesn't like other people. But we're lying to ourselves when we say that. Because I went out to get away from people. Then we formed all these bonds through hitchhiking and through just traveling with people and sharing these suffering moments with them. Then I realized maybe we went out into nature to find people like us rather than get away. But another cool thing about nature is that it proves you wrong all the time. And this was one of those times. I later realized that why we went out in nature was not to get away from people. It wasn't to find people like us. It was just simply to find people. Because none of these people were anything like us. And the first one I can think of is a woman named Heather. And she had just a wildly different upbringing than us, and it had shaped her political views, everything about her way of living into just something completely different from the way we lived. And there was another named Pam. She spent her whole life running from the norm by joining a circus, then she broke her hip and she ended up in the Rockettes. And then like everyone else I noticed who was always running, she ended up in nature. And, but none of that mattered. None of their pasts mattered, none of our pasts mattered. Only our present mattered to us, that we were just together in this moment, in nature, with all these just unspoken rules just to respect each other and our surroundings. These unspoken rules come from the understanding that you're able to see what you do to other people. When you're nice, you get to travel with these people, they'll help you out, you help them. If you're mean, you see these repercussions very quickly, whereas in our everyday life, we don't see those. You're mean to someone, you leave, you never see them again, it's fine. But you can see them really suffer in nature when there's nowhere you can go to get help other than the people who are around you. And you kind of just find solidarity in just being okay with where you are and where you're at in nature. And that brings me to the last thing, too, is that you're all just living in the now together. You are all just okay with being there. And eventually you run out of stuff to talk about anyway. So all you do is think. You just consider yourself. You consider why you believe in certain things. Sometimes you change your mind. Sometimes you solidify why you believe in it. It helps you really consider yourself rather than just your everyday fast-paced, always working, never stop working, never understand why you're doing any of it. This really brings to light why you're actually doing anything you're doing, and it helps you give a reason when you come back to your everyday life to continue to work hard. And I didn't realize any of this until now. While I was on the trail, all I was thinking was, this really sucks. I want to be home in my bed. But I did not realize until now that I never learned anything from a bed other than that it's really comfortable because you experience the discomfort. And that's where I think embrace the suck comes in. It really means to just embrace the comfort. It means that you're learning from the discomfort, you're learning from any pain you're feeling, and in the moment you're able to really just realize why you're doing it. In the future, you realize maybe this discomfort is going to prove me wrong and is going to help me out in some way. And these are all things I think we can really get from nature. I think we need to all realize that nature has something to prove to us, and it's that discomfort is okay. We can all learn from it. So embrace the suck, embrace the discomfort, and just realize what you have in front of you is okay, and we all have just something great to work for.